January 22nd, 1879, the hills of Isandlwana echo with a sound the British Empire has never heard before. The thunderous war cry of 20,000 Zulu warriors moving as one. Within hours, over 1,300 British and colonial soldiers lie dead on African soil. It is the single greatest defeat of a modern European army by an indigenous African force in colonial history.
But this is not a story about a single battle. This is the story of a king who refused to kneel, a military system so sophisticated it terrified the world's greatest empire, and a nation that chose to fight for its freedom, knowing the cost would be everything. This is the Anglo-Zulu War, the last stand of the warrior kingdom, and the hidden history that Britain tried to bury. For most of the world, the story of the Zulu people begins and ends with war, but the truth is far more complex. The Zulu kingdom was not simply a military power, it was a sophisticated state with its own laws, economy, diplomacy, and culture. A kingdom that had, in just 50 years, transformed from a small clan into one of the most formidable nations in Africa. In this documentary, we will uncover the full story of the Anglo-Zulu War of 1879. We will journey back to understand how the Zulu nation was built, who King Cetshwayo truly was, and why the British Empire saw this independent African kingdom as a threat that had to be destroyed. We will walk through the strategies, the battles, the betrayals, and the courage that defined this conflict. But more importantly, we will reveal what history books often ignore: the African perspective, the Zulu genius, and the legacy that still shapes South Africa today. This is not just a war story. This is a story about sovereignty, resistance, and what happens when an empire meets a people who refuse to surrender their identity. To understand the Anglo-Zulu War, we must first understand the world it emerged from. The year is 1816. Southern Africa is a patchwork of kingdoms, clans, and chiefdoms. Among them is a small clan called the Zulu, led by a minor chief named Senzanga Kona. But Senzanga Kona has a son, an illegitimate son, exiled and humiliated, named Shaka. History will remember him as one of the greatest military minds Africa has ever produced. By 1818, Shaka has seized control of the Zulu clan. Within a decade, he transforms them into an empire. He revolutionizes warfare, creating the bullhorn formation, a tactical system that encircles enemies with devastating efficiency. He introduces the ikowa, a short stabbing spear designed for close combat, replacing the traditional throwing spear. Shaka's army is not just fierce, it is disciplined, organized, and professional. Warriors are trained from boyhood in age regiments called amabuto. They live in military towns. They do not marry until their regiment is discharged by the king. This creates a standing army of thousands, loyal only to the throne. Under Shaka, the Zulu kingdom expands rapidly. Neighboring clans are either absorbed or scattered. By the time of his assassination in 1828, the Zulu control a vast territory in what is now KwaZulu-Natal. While the Zulu build their kingdom in the interior, the British solidify their control over the Cape Colony to the south. Initially, British interest in Southern Africa is limited. The Cape is simply a stopover on the route to India. But in the 1830s, everything changes. The discovery of diamonds and later gold transforms Southern Africa into one of the most valuable regions on earth. The British begin expanding inland. They clash with Boer settlers, African kingdoms, and anyone else who stands in the way of profit and empire. The philosophy is simple: control the land, control the resources, control the people. In 1872, a new king ascends the Zulu throne, Cetshwayo Kampande. He is Shaka's grandnephew, a man in his 40s, intelligent, diplomatic, and deeply committed to preserving Zulu independence. Cetshwayo inherits a kingdom that is powerful but surrounded. To the south, the British; to the west, the Boer Republic of Transvaal; to the north, smaller African states and Portuguese territories. The Zulu are geographically trapped, but Cetshwayo is no warmonger. He seeks peace with the British. He sends diplomats. He honors treaties. He even allows British missionaries into his kingdom. He believes that diplomacy, not war, will protect his people. He is wrong. In 1877, the British appoints Henry Battle Frere as High Commissioner for Southern Africa. Frere is an imperialist zealot. He believes that African kingdoms are obstacles to British dominance and must be crushed. Frere looks at the Zulu kingdom and sees a problem. Not because the Zulu have attacked British territory, they haven't. Not because they threaten British citizens, they don't. But because they exist as an independent military power.
Frere's goal is to create a British Confederation in Southern Africa, uniting all territories under one crown. The Zulu Kingdom, with its 30,000 strong army and fierce independence, does not fit this vision. So Frere begins manufacturing a crisis. In December 1878, Frere presents King Cetshwayo with an ultimatum. The demands are designed to be impossible. Disband the Zulu army, allow British residents in Zulu territory, accept a British representative to oversee internal Zulu affairs, pay reparations for alleged border incidents. Cetshwayo is given 30 days to comply. The message is clear: surrender your sovereignty or face war. Cetshwayo tries to negotiate. He offers compromises. He pleads for more time. But Frere has already made his decision. The British Empire is coming whether the Zulu fight or not. And so Cetshwayo prepares his people for the unthinkable. King Cetshwayo is often portrayed by colonial historians as a savage tyrant. This is propaganda. In truth, Cetshwayo is a skilled ruler who inherits a complex political situation and navigates it with intelligence and restraint. He is a product of the Zulu royal system, trained in diplomacy, warfare, and governance. He is also a realist. He knows that the British Empire is the most powerful military force on earth. He does not want war, but he will not surrender his people's freedom without a fight. Cetshwayo's tragedy is that he believes in negotiation. He believes the British will honor their agreements. He believes that reason will prevail. He is a king caught between tradition and modernity, between independence and annihilation. The Zulu army is the backbone of the kingdom. It is not a ragtag militia. It is a professional, disciplined fighting force. At the heart of the system are the Amabutho age regiments formed from boys around the age of 14. These young men are trained in combat, endurance, and loyalty. They live together in military kraals or settlements where they remain until the king grants them permission to marry. This system creates warriors who are physically conditioned, tactically trained, and completely loyal to the throne. Each regiment has its own name, insignias, and shield colors. Senior warriors command junior ones. The entire army moves with precision, using signals, messengers, and coordinated formations. The Zulu do not have guns, at least not many. What they have is speed, discipline, and the tactical genius of their commanders. Their primary weapon is the ikuwa, a short stabbing spear. Their shield, made of cowhide, is both defensive and offensive. Warriors use it to hook an enemy's shield aside, exposing them to a fatal thrust. The Zulu also employ psychological warfare. Before battle, they perform the giya, a war dance that builds energy and intimidates enemies. During battle, they chant and sing, creating a wall of sound that unnerves opponents. This is not primitive warfare. This is strategy, discipline, and mastery. Opposing King Cetshwayo is Lieutenant General Lord Chelmsford, commander of British forces in Southern Africa. Chelmsford is an experienced officer, but he is also arrogant. He has fought in India and Abyssinia, and he believes that African armies are inferior. He is about to learn otherwise. British soldiers in red coats preparing for battle with rifles and artillery. Chelmsford commands a force of around 17,000 men, a mix of British regulars, colonial volunteers, and African auxiliaries. They are equipped with modern rifles, artillery, and Gatling guns. On paper, they should dominate any African army. But Chelmsford underestimates the Zulu. He divides his forces into multiple columns, spreading them thin across the border. He assumes the Zulu will scatter at the sight of British firepower. He is catastrophically wrong. While Cetshwayo is the king, the Zulu military operates through experienced indunas, commanders who lead regiments into battle. Among them is Nshingwayo Kamahole, a senior commander who will lead the Zulu forces at Isandlwana. He is a brilliant tactician, calm under pressure and deeply respected by his warriors. Another key figure is Dabulamanzi Kampande, the king's half-brother. He is younger, more impulsive, and eager to prove himself in battle. His actions will have devastating consequences. These men are not bloodthirsty savages. They are generals, strategists, and leaders who understand that they are fighting for the survival of their nation. History often forgets the civilians, but in the Zulu kingdom, women and non-combatants play a crucial role. Zulu women manage homesteads, tend cattle, grow crops, and raise children. They are the backbone of the economy. When the men go to war, the women keep society functioning. They also serve as messengers, spies, and sometimes even fighters. Zulu women are not passive victims. They are active participants in the survival of their people. And when the war comes, they will suffer just as much as the warriors. On January 11th, 1879, the 30-day ultimatum expires. King Cetshwayo has not disbanded his army. He has not surrendered his sovereignty. And so the British invade. Lord Chelmsford divides his forces into 5 columns, crossing the Buffalo and Tugela rivers at multiple points. The plan is to converge on Ulundi, the Zulu capital, and crush the kingdom in a single coordinated strike. But the terrain is hostile. The land is rugged, filled with hills, rivers, and dense bush. Supply lines stretch thin, communication is slow. The British are marching into a land they do not understand, against an enemy they have underestimated. Meanwhile, King Cetshwayo mobilizes his forces. He does not want this war, but now that it has begun, he will defend his kingdom with everything he has. He sends out his Amabuto, 20,000 warriors organized into regiments, each with a specific role. Their orders are clear. Find the British, surround them, destroy them. January 22nd, 1879, the British Central Column, commanded by Lord Chelmsford, camps beneath a mountain called Isandlwana. The mountain's shape resembles a crouching lion, a symbol the Zulu consider sacred. Chelmsford has around 1,800 men here, British regulars, colonial volunteers, and African auxiliaries. He believes the main Zulu force is miles away. So confident is he that he takes off his men on a reconnaissance mission, leaving the camp defended by Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Dunford and Colonel Henry Pulin. It is a fatal mistake. The Zulu army has been hiding in the hills, waiting for the right moment. 20,000 warriors led by Indunas Nshingwayo and Mavumengwana are concealed in the valleys just beyond the camp.
At midday, a British patrol stumbles upon the Zulu force. The warriors rise from the earth like a black wave. The battle has begun. The Zulu execute their bullhorn formation with terrifying precision. The chest, the main force, charges directly at the British camp. The horns, flanking regiments, sweep wide on both sides, encircling the enemy. The loins, reserve forces, wait behind, ready to exploit any weakness. The British form defensive lines. Their rifles fire in disciplined volleys. For a moment, it seems the firepower will hold, but the Zulu keep coming. They move with astonishing speed, closing the distance before the British can reload. They use the terrain, the smoke, and their shields to minimize casualties. And when they reach the British lines, they engage in brutal hand-to-hand combat. The British are overwhelmed. Ammunition runs low. Orders break down. Panic spreads. By late afternoon, the camp is overrun. Over 1,300 British and colonial soldiers are dead. Only a handful escape. The Zulu have achieved one of the most stunning military victories in colonial history. But the victory comes at a cost. The Zulu lose around 1,000 warriors, men who cannot be easily replaced. And the Zulu know this is only the beginning. The British will return, and they will bring vengeance. Hours after Isandlwana, a force of around 4,000 Zulu warriors, led by Prince Dabula Manzi, approaches a small British outpost at Rock's Drift. Dabula Manzi has disobeyed King Cetshwayo's orders. The king commanded his forces not to cross into British territory. But Dabula Manzi, eager for glory and frustrated at being held in reserve, decides to attack anyway. At Rock's Drift, 139 British soldiers, many of them sick or wounded, prepare to defend a small mission station. They have hours to build barricades from mealie bags, biscuit boxes, and whatever else they can find. At 4:30 p.m., the Zulu attack begins. For 12 hours, the Zulu assault the position. They are brave, relentless, and determined, but the British have modern rifles, a fortified position, and the advantage of firepower. The Zulus suffer heavy casualties. Waves of warriors fall to rifle fire, yet they keep attacking, driven by courage and duty. By dawn, the Zulu withdraw. They have lost hundreds of men. The British have lost only 17. Rock's Drift becomes a legend in British military history. 11 Victoria Crosses are awarded, the most ever for a single action. Songs are written, movies are made. But from the Zulu perspective, Rock's Drift is a tragic waste. Dabula Manzi's disobedience costs the kingdom hundreds of warriors for no strategic gain. And it gives the British a propaganda victory to offset the disaster of Isandlwana. News of Isandlwana shocks the British Empire. How could a savage African army defeat the most powerful military on earth? The British press demands action. Politicians call for retribution, and the military begins mobilizing reinforcements. Lord Chelmsford is humiliated but determined. He receives thousands of additional troops, modern artillery, and Gatling guns. The second invasion of Zululand will not fail. Meanwhile, King Cetshwayo tries once more to negotiate. He sends envoys to the British offering peace terms. He argues that the war was never necessary, but the British are no longer interested in peace. They want total victory. In late March, British forces attempt to capture a Zulu stronghold at Loban Mountain. It is a disaster. Zulu forces ambush the attackers, killing over 200 colonial troops. But the next day, at the Battle of Kambula, the British achieve a decisive victory. Using fortified positions and overwhelming firepower, they repel a massive Zulu assault, killing over 1,000 warriors. The tide is turning. The Zulu are running out of men, supplies, and options. By June, Chelmsford has assembled a new army, over 15,000 men, heavily armed and carefully organized. This time, there will be no mistakes. The British advance slowly, building fortified camps every night. They use cavalry scouts, Gatling guns, and artillery. They are cautious, methodical, and overwhelming. King Cetshwayo sends desperate messages. He offers to negotiate. He offers reparations. He offers anything except the destruction of his kingdom. The British ignore him. On July 4th, 1879, the British Army reaches Ulundi, the Zulu capital. King Cetshwayo assembles his remaining warriors, around 15,000 men. They are exhausted, demoralized, but still willing to fight for their king. The British form a massive square, infantry on all sides, cavalry and artillery in the center. It is an impenetrable formation designed to maximize firepower. The Zulu charge with everything they have. They run into a storm of bullets. The Gatling guns roar. The artillery fires explosive shells. The rifles never stop. Wave after wave of Zulu warriors fall. They cannot break the square. After 90 minutes, the Zulu retreat. Over 1,500 are dead. The British suffer fewer than 100 casualties. Chelmsford orders the capital burned. Ulundi goes up in flames. The Zulu kingdom is defeated. King Cetshwayo flees into the wilderness. For weeks, he evades British patrols. But on August 28th, 1879, he is betrayed and captured. He is taken to Cape Town, paraded as a trophy, and eventually exiled to London. There he is displayed to British society as a noble savage, a curiosity, a symbol of empire's triumph. In 1883, the British allow him to return to Zululand, but his kingdom is gone. The land has been divided among rival chiefs. Civil war erupts. Cetshwayo dies in 1884, a broken man, his kingdom in ruins. British propaganda portrayed the Zulu as bloodthirsty savages, inferior in every way. This narrative was essential to justify the invasion, but the truth is far different. The Zulu kingdom was a sophisticated state with laws, courts, diplomacy, and governance. It had a structured economy based on cattle, agriculture, and trade. It had poets, historians, and oral traditions that preserved knowledge across generations. The Zulu were not primitive, they were a nation. The Zulu military system was studied by military historians around the world. Their tactics influenced modern warfare. The bullhorn formation is still taught in military academies as an example of tactical excellence. The Zulu did not win through numbers or savagery. They won through discipline, training, and brilliant leadership. One uncomfortable truth: not all Africans sided with the Zulu. The British recruited thousands of African auxiliaries from neighboring groups who had been conquered or threatened by the Zulu in the past. This was not a simple story of Africans versus Europeans. It was a complex conflict shaped by local politics, old rivalries, and survival. Zulu women were not bystanders. They carried supplies, nursed the wounded, and sometimes fought alongside the men. They also bore the brunt of British retaliation: villages burned, families displaced, children killed. Their stories are rarely told, but without them, the kingdom could not have survived as long as it did. The Anglo-Zulu War was not about defense or morality. It was about control. Sir Battle Frere provoked the war deliberately against orders from London. The British government later disavowed him, not because the war was wrong, but because it was politically inconvenient. Isandlwana was also a scandal. Investigations revealed that British officers had ignored intelligence, divided forces recklessly, and failed to secure ammunition properly. But these findings were buried to protect reputations. The Zulu were blamed for British incompetence. After the war, the British dismantled the Zulu kingdom. They divided the land into 13 separate chiefdoms, ensuring that no single leader could unite the people again. Civil wars erupted. Famines spread. Families were torn apart. The Zulu, who had once been a proud and independent nation, were reduced to subjects of the British Empire.
The Anglo-Zulu War set a precedent. It showed that African kingdoms could be crushed, their people controlled, and their land seized. This philosophy would evolve into segregation and eventually apartheid. The systems of oppression that defined 20th century South Africa have their roots in conflicts like the Anglo-Zulu War. But the Zulu did not disappear. Despite colonization, oppression, and poverty, Zulu culture survived. Today, the Zulu are the largest ethnic group in South Africa. Their language is spoken by millions, their traditions are celebrated, their history is taught. The warriors of 1879 may have lost the war, but they did not lose their identity. Isandlwana remains a symbol. For the British, it is a reminder of hubris and the cost of underestimating an enemy. For the Zulu, it is proof that they fought with courage and skill. It is a moment when an African army defeated the world's most powerful empire. And it is a lesson that freedom is worth fighting for, even when the odds are impossible. The Anglo-Zulu War is not ancient history. Its effects are still felt. Land disputes, ethnic tensions, and economic inequality in South Africa all trace back in part to the colonial conquest of the 19th century. But there is also hope. The story of the Zulu reminds us that African kingdoms were powerful, sophisticated, and worth remembering. It challenges the colonial narrative that Africa was passive, primitive, or uncivilized. The Zulu fought, they resisted, they left a legacy. So what is the lesson of the Anglo-Zulu War? It is not that violence is noble or that war is glorious. It is not even that the Zulu were perfect. They were human with flaws and complexities like any nation. The lesson is this: sovereignty matters, independence matters. The right of a people to govern themselves, to preserve their culture, and to defend their land matters. King Cetshwayo did not want war. He tried diplomacy, negotiation, and compromise. But when the choice was between surrender and resistance, he chose to fight. And even though the Zulu kingdom fell, the spirit of that resistance lives on. The Anglo-Zulu War reminds us that history is not just written by the victors. It is also remembered by those who fought, who survived, and who refused to be forgotten. The Zulu did not disappear. They endured, and that perhaps is the greatest victory of all. Thank you for watching this episode of Africa Hidden History. The story of the Anglo-Zulu War is one of courage, tragedy, and resilience. It is a story that deserves to be told in full, not as a footnote to British imperialism, but as a chapter in the history of African resistance. If you found this documentary valuable, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others who want to learn the hidden stories of Africa. Next time, we'll explore another untold chapter of African history, one that will challenge what you think you know about the continent and its people. Until then, remember, history is not just what happened, it's who tells the story, and Africa's story deserves to be heard.